Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Y'all, today is war, okay? War. I came out here to my tunnel. I planted 18 collard greens on Thursday. Now it's 3 days later and I have 3 collard greens left. And I think I showed y'all my collard greens. They were so beautiful. My seedlings that I started with my own hands. I planted 18 and now I have 3 left. The rest have disappeared in my tunnel. Y'all, I'm on a warpath. I cannot believe it. Like, it had to happen within the last 24 hours because when I was out here yesterday, they were still there, looking big and beautiful and pretty. And today I came out here and they are gone. Like, it never, like, you can tell, like, on some of them, things have been eaten. But in other ones, it's like nothing ever, it's like it was never there. Remember, that's the same thing that happened out here in my tunnel with my squash one time that I planted. I don't know what it is. And I'm pretty sure it's not my dogs. Like, my dogs don't even come in the tunnel. Now, I'm sure, I'm like any parent, you know, how you think your child is the best child, right? I'm sure my dogs might peruse in here sometime at night or something, but they're not eating collard greens, y'all. It's some animal, I don't know what it is, but everything else in my tunnel looks just fine. Like, nothing is out of place. It's war. It is war. Now, what we're gonna do about war, I don't know, but I'm on a war path. So now I gotta start some more seeds, which I was already gonna do, but I was looking good on my collard greens. That can be the most defeating thing, is to have some good looking seedlings that you put out and then just like that, they're gone. So that means I'm gonna have to cover my stuff up with the collard greens. And the collard greens, I don't usually have pest damage, right? If this is a pest, they got real full in 24 hours. It just doesn't, I don't know. And then the other 3 are like perfectly fine, like nothing ever happened. Let me take you and show you. And for those that are brand new here, I'm glad you stopped by. I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Zone 7A. Am I usually this amped up? Yeah, I am. Not necessarily about war, but I am amped up every time we come in the garden. So let me go show you what has happened in the tunnel. Do y'all see this? These are the 3 that are left. Do you see how pretty those look? I had 18 just like that. As I pan all the way down the row, gone. Gone, gone, gone for the most part. There's one there, but let me see if I can get you closer. Like, look at that. Like, you can see this part left. Like, y'all, is that pest or did somebody just eat it? Then you can see that one, but then like one beside it, still good. Okay, so I got 5 instead of 3. So that one's good, that one's good. The rest of the row, just done. Done, done, done. Like, they took this like down to the nub. I had them all the way down. And now they're gone. Okay, it's not as easy putting this in through the landscape fabric because, again, these plants are in the ground versus in my raised bed. Of course, it's just soil, so it's easy to kind of go through the soil. But because here we're dealing with the raw earth, it's hard to find a spot where I can stick it through the landscape paper and stick it through the ground. So I'm going to have to get my husband to actually help me with this. But what you saw me doing was putting those hoops. So if you didn't see my video last week, I posted a video last week about trying to protect my crops. And I'm using these stainless steel wire hoops that I bought online. And then I'm going to use some insect netting. I wasn't planning on doing it for the collard greens because usually I don't have pest damage with my collard greens. I was really concerned about my brassicas. But now that, yeah, something's been in here. And again, nothing else has been bothered. Like, nothing. They didn't eat anything else. So I'm not sure what happened. But I'm going to have to get my husband to help me with this part. Now I got 3 right here together, then I got like 2 on further down. It'll be hard to put insect netting on just that little section of 3. Well, I would just have to have some on the ground. That would be the only thing. So maybe I'll pull up the 2 and put them closer, so I'll have 5 right together in a row. I don't know. I'm not sure. So that's one of the things on my long to-do list today. The other thing, the boys, my husband and my son, are out in the garden laying back black paper. So let me take y'all here before it gets dark so you can see what we have going on out there and what we're doing, and I'll walk you through it. Okay, y'all, so the boys out here laying down landscape fabric. This is the part of the in-ground garden outside that we never got to. So this is right to the left of the watermelon patch. So where you see this Thai basil here that's in bloom, right behind it are all the watermelons. So you can see, you know, this space, you couldn't see it as much because every time we would cut the grass to lay the paper down, the grass would grow back before we could lay the paper down. We had a period of like heavy rain for like 30 days, so it just kept growing and growing. This section has probably been cut at least 4 times with the hope of, okay, let's go ahead and put paper down, and we just never make it to it. Now that we're nearing the end of the summer, we are trying to get this done and not wait until next spring. And he's putting down just plain black landscape weed barrier. It does not have any holes in it like we did the rest of the garden, because again, this is just to the left of the watermelon patch, and the idea was to give the watermelons a huge space to grow, which they did have a huge space, but they were just competing against all of the what do you call it, the grass that just kept coming up to it. So you can kind of see this paper is more wide than the space is, and my husband is just like cutting the paper, and then he and my son are going to put landscape staples down to kind of hold it in place like we did everything else. Hopefully, honey, is this the good paper?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the good paper. It just doesn't have the holes in it. So I'm glad that this is finally getting done, so that way it'll save us next year of having to continue to cut grass in this section, weeds growing, grass growing, and all of that. So I don't intend at this point to grow anything in this section. This will just be extra space for like the watermelon patch, or if we did squash in this row right here to the right instead of watermelons, it'll just have space for it to vine and grow. So that's the reason why we didn't do the paper with holes. Also, and for those that are new here, so when I keep saying the paper with holes, we ordered landscape fabric weed barrier paper from Farmer's Friend that already had pre-cut holes in it. So instead of us burning all of the holes, this is a 4,000 square foot space, that would have taken a lot. And for us to cut it, it gets real messy. We did that last year. We cut our own squares. And what happens is when you cut it, you don't have smooth edges. And then it starts to fray, and then the hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which introduces more space for weeds. In this 4,000 square foot garden, the only place I had weeds where there were holes and there was nothing planted. Other than that, I did not deal with weeds. I did not. And you guys can see that for the most part, all of the weeds are where we don't have something planted. And so in the majority of the in-ground garden, every hole was planted. On the watermelon patch, these holes are 18 inches apart, and I skipped every other hole because I wanted the watermelons 3 feet apart to have space to grow. So I have a lot of weeds in the watermelon row where I did not plant stuff initially, and then I went back and I interplanted basil in between the watermelons. 1, to be a companion plant, and then 2, just to put something in the holes. So overall, we love this paper. It saved a lot of time. Again, you pay for it up front, but either you're going to pay in money or you're going to pay in time. Whichever one you have the most of, you go forth and conquer, right? If you have more time than money, then weed. If you have more money than time, then buy you some landscape fabric. It's a one-time cost. Like this paper should last us, I would say at least 5 years. I want to say the paper, it may have been a couple $100 per roll, and I want to say the roll may be like 4 by 100 maybe. And I think for this space we did 2 or 3 rolls. So average investment, I would say maybe, I'm throwing out a ballpark, maybe $500 for this whole space. But I didn't have to weed. It's worth it to me. It is worth. And then again, once it's down, it's down. Now we're thinking about pulling this up this. Okay, we're thinking about pulling this up this fall just because we're thinking about planting a cover crop. If we don't do that, then it'll be down, and then next spring we'll just be ready to plant. Now what I'm going to have to figure out is how I'm going to keep the weeds away all fall. So I thought about getting a silage tarp. And so if you don't know what a silage tarp is what it says. It's a tarp that you can lay over to kill and suppress weeds. Hopefully I'm explaining it the right way. But they're pricey. They are pricey. It's probably like $300 for the space for the size that I need for this space. But basically you lay the tarp down and it's going to kill all of the weeds, seeds. So it's a great way to get rid of your weeds at one time. And I was thinking about using that to cover this entire section if we don't pull it up. So that way I don't have weeds and stuff growing in the fall and winter through every hole, and then we have to go and pull it out. Because that's what we had to do this past spring, is get all the weeds out. And again, you can, but it just takes time. And whenever you can get some hours back in the garden, the better. So I'm still researching the silage tarp to see if that's what we want to do. I'm still researching cover crops to see if that's what we want to do. But one of the main reasons I'm trying to do a cover crop is because in certain areas in this garden, we experienced waterlogging. If you have any tips on that, like it would be in a certain area where water would be pooling, so it's not draining. Don't know why. I don't know if the ground is uneven. We thought it was even, but there's a certain waterlog in one area. It gets really, really mushy and all the water is going to that area. We had the same exact issue last summer in a different area. And this year, that area was better. What happened? I don't know. So I'm not quite sure how to fix it. We've been doing some research. I know that compost and organic matter will help with that, but also a cover crop specifically around soil erosion can help as well. But that's as far as I know. I'm still kind of testing the waters and researching. So if you have any tips on cover crops, please put them down below. Let me know. I said the boys are out here today. Come on, son. He never gets on camera. So I really do have children, y'all. I know that y'all don't see them in the garden much. Now, our daughter is away at college, but even when she's here, let's just say outside is not her thing, right? But she does all of the inside work, so you know, no shame, no judgment. So this is my son.
Hey.
And so he is helping his father out with the land. He's been a big help this summer with all of the, what did y'all call it? Putting up the trellis and all that stuff.
Putting down paper.
Yeah. So how you like helping out in the garden, son?
It's been good.
It's been good. Do y'all believe him?
No, it's been good.
He says it's been good. Okay. So he's 15. Going on 16. This is my baby. My baby. I mean, you acting like you're taller than me. I mean, he's standing on a mound. In case y'all were wondering.
Oh.
He was standing on a mound. I mean, did y'all see how he just kind of rolled up on me like that? Anywho, okay. So, baby, what we got next?
More paper, more weed eating.
Is this paper already? Is it secured?
That's what we're about to do now.
Okay, so they're about to secure. Let's get some footage of this. Isn't it a good? I mean, it's just good when you see the men at work in the garden, right, son?
Marvelous.
So, y'all, one of the things, I don't put my kids on video unless they want to, because this is what their mommy does. They don't have to be on YouTube if they don't want to. But one of the things, we moved to the country 4 years ago. So when my kids moved out here, they were 11 and 16. So talking about coming from the city to the country and, oh, let's work in the garden, and we had never had a garden, that's a bit of a stretch. I think if we would have moved out here when my kids were much smaller, I would have loved that, because they would have kind of grown up around this and probably would have been more excited about it. But you know, hey, it is what it is. I think they will look back on these times and have some fond memories of being out in the garden and all of that good stuff. So if you have small kids, definitely get them involved in the garden. Don't just keep them in the house. And I know how it is with small kids. You know, they want to help and it just slows you down. I remember, I've been there. But it is good to let them help, because let me tell you, one day they're not gonna want to help. You're gonna have to say, I need you out here. They're not gonna be volunteering. So while you have the little volunteer helpers, go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's they're gonna put the landscape staples down and do this all the way, and then let me show you a couple other things. The area I wanted to show you is one of the raised beds in the tunnel. So you can see that I've pulled out a plant. So the plant that I pulled out was the ahi mango. Let me see if I can show you what this is, what it looked like. It was big and very, very prolific, but was kind of taken over. And I don't need any more of these peppers. Like, I have more than enough. So I pulled it out because I want to get some more sweet bonnet, which are these right here. And I felt like it just needs some space to grow. And I wanted to open up this space. And then I also found that I had a bell pepper right here. I couldn't even see it because this plant had just kind of taken over. So I pulled it out to give this a couple of more weeks and some spacing to grow. And then obviously this stuff will come out, and we'll put some fall crops in there as well. So this is the next bed that's going to be amended for the fall. So basically I only have 2 beds left. The bed that I just showed you with the peppers, I'm going to let those hang out a little while longer. And then I have this bed here that the green beans were in. I'm going to remove the drip lines, which the drip lines are not even hooked up. We're going to use a different, we did not like these drip lines in the raised bed. We're going to get a different version for this. But I need to get the, not even weeds, like the stray stuff out. What was in this bed? Oh, green beans. So I need to get the stray stuff out and amend this bed. It'll be ready to plant. And then we just have that one with the peppers. And then all the raised beds will be planted in the tunnel. So I have 2 beds left to plant. One bed I think I'm going to do is carrots. So I think I'm going to have 2 beds of carrots, because y'all, I'm trying to get me some carrots this year. So I have the 1 bed of carrots that I've already planted, and that's where I use the pelleted seed. And I spaced them out. So because I used the pelleted seed, I did not broadcast so I don't have to thin those out. I'll show you what that bed looks like. But I think I'm going to do another bed of carrots, probably the pepper bed, because again, that can be delayed. And then in this bed behind me, once I amend that, it will probably be cabbages, like another thing of brassicas is what I'm thinking. I feel behind, and maybe that's just the gardener. I mean, like, you always feel like you're just not caught up. It's mid-September, and I do have some spaces planted out. I got to get rid of some more, the tomato plants that were old in the tunnel. I'm going to get rid of those. But I was hanging on because I don't have anything ready yet to put in the ground. Like, my seedlings are going, but they're slow. I need to start some more so I can, like, pick up the pace here and be able to plant some more stuff out. So I guess I'm not behind. I think it's just you're always trying to, again, get ahead, so to speak. So let me show you one other thing. So on the right hand side were the 2 rows of tomatoes, and so behind this first row is where I planted all those collard greens that somebody, you know, had lunch with. Not that I'm bitter, but then I still have these tomato plants here that have, you know, tomatoes on them. But y'all, pretty much 90% of the tomatoes that I'm picking off these are already like diseased by the time I get to them. As soon as they blush, they have a hole in them. And so I think I'm just going to go ahead and take these down, because it's just no point. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take them down and open up this whole row. And then I have the tomatoes back here in the back that are the newer ones, as you can see here, which I already have some tomatoes on. Let's see. You can see those tomatoes there. Look at that. So I have some tomatoes on that one. Then I see a couple of other ones that I have some little tomatoes forming. So I'm going to fertilize these. And let me see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we'll see how they do. But again, y'all, if I don't get any more tomatoes, I really am good. So that's kind of where we are. So since my husband is doing that, I'm not going to pull him from that to help me with this. I wonder when I come back in the morning, will these 5 collard greens even still be here? I'm not sure. I am going to, I don't know if it's an animal or if it's like pest, like an insect. I don't know. It's just so strange to me. But anyway, I have maybe 20 more minutes of daylight. I'm not going to finish what I started in terms of on the video, but thank you guys for hanging out with me today as we, as I was talking through it and fellowshipping with you. My spirit is a little bit more calm than it was before, but I was so mad. I'm like, who ate my collard greens? Like, get some tomatoes. Get something that I have already yielded. Do that. Not the stuff that I just, and yeah, they were so beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna stop whining. I'm gonna stop whining. We have some good stuff going on. I will finish this or come up with a solution for this and try to save these 5 that I have. That is the plan, when I can get my husband to kind of help me figure this out. And then I bought some more clips to secure the insect netting to my raised bed. The clips I bought did not work, so I can't show you that today because I'm gonna have to send those back and try again. It's not, what do you call it? It doesn't open wide enough to clip onto the edge of the bed. So I still got to get a better solution for that. Let me just show you how they're doing under the insect netting. I still see some insect damage, and that could have already, maybe the insect was already in there. I tried to check the undersides before I put the insect netting on. And I realized that what I sprayed with was not BT. I went and looked it up. It was not BT. So I've ordered some BT. It'll be here tomorrow. I will spray them again. But I think they're at least doing better because they do have some protection. But let me take you over here and let you see what they look like. So you can see there's some there. And I don't remember if that was there before. But like, for the most part, they look pretty good. There's a couple of holes there. Some of them look good. Some of them, that wasn't that bad. So this is not a foolproof method because, do y'all see? Like, you can't, there's not a hole. So you definitely can't stick through it. But because it's not as secured as I want it to be, maybe something was either already in here or maybe it's getting in some kind of way. I don't know. But I am going to spray it with BT as soon as it comes in and see what happens. The thing about winter gardening, especially if you have a tunnel, you don't have to worry about the insects because it's just too doggone cold. The insects are gone. Like, the spinach looks good. I still think they're better off under here, even though it is not 100% looking like no pest damage. I still think this is far better than if I didn't have this on here. But we're going to keep trying until we get a better solution. So one of the things as a gardener, you have to pace yourself. You have to give yourself grace because it's not always perfect. No matter, you can lay what you think are the most perfect plans, sometimes it just does not go according to plan. Like, I had no thought that my collard greens would get eaten. Like, it just, when I walked in and I was looking down, I was like, something looks, wait, my stuff is gone. It just threw me for a loop because those were not the ones that I was worried about protecting. I was worried about protecting my brassicas. And I literally just put them in the ground 3 days ago. But that just goes to show you it's all a part of it. So I have more seeds. It's just September. I can still get plenty of collard greens. Worst case scenario, I can always go buy some seedlings from the big box store, but I'm just going to mosey on over here to my seed starting table and start me some more seeds and get me some more beautiful seedlings. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And you know what? That's what you got to do too. When things don't work out, it's so easy to just throw your hands up. It's so easy to give up. But y'all, if we give up, who gonna grow our food? Are we gonna rely on the grocery store? I think not. Let's not do that. Another day, another part of the journey. I appreciate you guys for stopping by today with hearing my war stories. But we do have some good stuff going on out there with the boys' land, the landscape fabric and all that. That's going to save us some time later on in the long run. So thank you guys for stopping by today. I never ever take for granted that you take time out of your day to spend time with me. Remember, be encouraged. This is part of the journey. Let's remember to grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.